welcome back to episode 2 of Shy's Long Con. I'm the host Cheyenne, and with me today is my co-host Henry.
Hello, I'm Henry again.
Yes, this is our second attempt at this episode too.
One could call it our fourth attempt.
You know, that's a little rude.
What?
Yeah, no, it's only our second attempt. The first attempt, someone messed up the audio. I won't name names. And the audio didn't get recorded, so
All 1 hour of it.
it was only 1 hour and 15 minutes of the third episode, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's inconsequential in the long run.
Yeah, it's fine. But today we're going to go over the theme jobs from the poll that we had, and most people chose jobs. It's really
Hmm.
weird. Why do
Yep.
you want to talk about work outside of work?
I don't know, because work has some saucy stuff inside of it.
Yes, you don't get enough juice where you work, I see.
Yeah.
Well, the title for today's episode is
What?
Problem
Job,
Jobs.
job problem, problem?
Problem Jobs.
Yeah,
Or
that's
job
nice then.
problems. I don't know.
Problem jurbers.
No, problem jobs slash job problems. It's gonna be, just job related stuff, stories the entire time.
Pretty
Um,
silly.
but we did say on episode 1 that we would have Henry read one of the stories that we didn't get to. And so I have it pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
If you would go read the title and the trigger warnings so no one's surprised.
This is from r/best of Redditor updates. The trigger warnings are obsessive behavior and infidelity. So, the title is My Husband Got Jealous Over the Girl He Led On for Years at Our Wedding. Oh boy. Okay. I, 25F, got married to my husband, 24M, we'll call him Jim, a week ago after dating for 2.5 years. Jim has a friend called Misha, 22F, who was invited to the wedding. He and Misha have known each other since high school and were close friends, and Misha had a very obvious crush on Jim from what he and others who know them have told me. Jim told me this after I met Misha for the first time and confessed that he leaned into her crush and led her on throughout their high school years and for a little while after, before we got together because he was struggling with his mental health and he really liked her attention. He seemed genuinely guilty about all of that because he thought Misha was a nice girl and a good friend, and because he showed guilt, I didn't feel the need to bring it up or argue about it despite thinking it was a shitty thing to do. Plus, Misha is a nice girl who has never overstepped boundaries and has been nothing but kind and friendly towards me, and I now consider her a friend too. Misha moved away to the city last year and has done really well for herself and has a long-term boyfriend who none of us have met yet, so when it came to sending wedding invites, I told her she was welcome to bring him and as her plus one. The first red flag came when Jim was weirdly resistant to the idea of Misha bringing her boyfriend, but he excused it on being concerned about the number of guests we invited, and the matter was dropped. When the wedding day came, Misha showed up in this beautiful dress, nothing inappropriate for a wedding, and with her boyfriend on her arm, who I'll admit is a very handsome guy. Think a Kit Harington type. She's also lost weight and has a haircut that suits her better, and I thought she looked great. We also found out throughout the night that her boyfriend is very successful and earns more than practically anyone else who attended. Throughout the reception, I noticed Jim glaring at Misha and her boyfriend the whole time, and he was really cold and short towards her when she came over to congratulate us and give us a gift. He was also straight up kinda rude to her boyfriend when Misha introduced us to him. When his mom, who's always known and liked Misha, mentioned that she was glad Misha found a great guy and praised her boyfriend for being so nice, Jim snapped that at least she won't be desperate and hung up on me for the rest of her life, which I thought was cruel and uncalled for. But I didn't challenge him because I didn't want to argue at my wedding, despite the fact that he frankly sounded bitter. The whole thing has left an awful taste in my mouth, and I can't help but think that Jim got jealous that Misha has found a guy who's honestly quite a catch, who she's clearly very in love with, and is now completely over Jim. Half update, after getting some PMs from people, I decided to go through his phone while he was napping after work, and needless to say, this marriage is over. I'll post a real update when I have sorted everything out. So I know we've already been through this episode and we've already talked about this once, but that got deleted and then it got interrupted. and then it got cut over. And so I just I want to hear your initial thoughts to the story as it's been told.
Yeah, so my initial thoughts are that Jim is a sad man who has shown signs prior in their relationship that he has this weird relationship with Misha and seeking validation. It feels like he's a little insecure about himself and he uses other people to, help cope with his insecurities instead of, working on them. Um, from the mini update, I fear that something worse is on his phone after the OP went on it. Um, and yeah, overall, I don't think this relationship's gonna work out, and I don't think Jim's a good guy.
No, no, I don't think Jim is a good guy either. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I've been through tough times and I've made shitty decisions, but like leading someone on just for the emotional validation of just like, oh, you like me, but I'm never going to reciprocate that. Like, how despicable of a person do you need to be to just like, I'm gonna straight up lie to you over and over and over again and feed this infatuation you have while also never giving you anything.
Right.
Like that's just, I mean, it's immature for one, but it's also just like so inconsiderate of the other person of just like I wouldn't trust that type of person to be my partner. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I mean like I get if they're like if they seem genuinely guilty about it. It's like I could see myself being like, okay, I won't poke and prod the situation too much, but like it's got to be in the back of your head, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, especially in the wedding where he's like on this special day where it's like you are truly in a sort of performance between, you know, your own happy day, making sure your family's having a good time and, entertaining the guests. You were also using that time to actively belittle and disrespect Misha's boyfriend. It's like, come on, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, that that's just awful to think about how he acted on something so serious, and then it leads to the wife now feeling not secure in the relationship and doubting what he's done, and then she goes on the phone, which is never a good thing to do. Like once, yeah, you have permission. I know I gave you permission to go on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
but to go on someone's phone with a clear intention of trying to scrounge evidence of some misconduct up, it just never goes well from there, even if they find nothing,
Yeah,
because you lost the trust.
yeah, it's like it's indicative of like the erosion of trust in the relationship, where it's just like, oh, there is like we're truly scraping the bottom of the barrel of what's keeping this relationship afloat, you know?
Yeah,
And you're like actively looking for issues, and it's like I don't blame the person necessarily going through their phone because relationships are more complex than that. I don't think
right,
it's a good thing to do, but on the other hand, it's just like people are motivated to look for reasons of betrayal when there are signs of it, you know? It doesn't
right.
come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And that being said, there are two more updates.
Yeah, well, let's just cut straight to the updates because, like, yeah, here, I'll read over a few comments that are pretty quick and short. It's giving bitter. Can't imagine how this must have been for you. Says a lot about his character, to be honest. The OOP says it felt a lot like watching a kid get upset at another kid for playing with a toy they personally never wanted to play with in the first place, if that makes any sense. The original commenter says, I get it, but I mean, apart from this, have you never had an indication of what a shitty guy he is? I mean, character matters, and he lacks a lot of it. Can imagine it being so unsettling and such a turnoff. The OOP finally responds, he's definitely always been quite insecure, but I thought it was something that he was really working on and making progress with. Now, this is an update from 8 days later on November 14th, 2022. Hey everyone, I'm posting this here because I said in my last post that I would update when I was able to. Pretty much the day after my original post, I got some personal messages from people suggesting that I go through my husband Jim's phone to see if he and Misha were truly just friends before this and that nothing romantic happened between them that would explain his reaction at the wedding. He always takes a 45-minute nap after work, so I use that as my opportunity to swipe his phone from where it was charging on his desk so that I could look through it. I've seen him put in his passcode a ton of times, so that wasn't an issue. I didn't find anything in his texts with her, but I know that Jim goes on Instagram a lot, so I checked there too. The immediate red flag was that he used an app lock that required a passcode to access Instagram, but the dumbass used the same passcode that he uses to unlock his phone, so I got in right away. It's his birth year, go figure. And what would you know? I go to his messages with Misha and find messages from him the morning after our wedding telling her how beautiful she'd looked that night, how much he'd missed her, how he felt that her boyfriend being there spoiled his opportunity to catch up with her, and that he was desperate to meet up with her. Misha never replied to these messages, and he sent some more to her later that day. I won't get into what he said because they were very personal insults that were, frankly, just gross. But just think about the kind of stuff you would read on that nice guy subreddit. Misha left him on red, and when I clicked on her account, it appears that she's blocked him. I scrolled through their messages quite far back, and I believe nothing romantic has happened between them. I wish that was all, but looking into his other conversations on Instagram, I found that he's been messaging other girls there. They seemed like inspiring Instagram model types from our area. Most of these conversations were just him shooting his shot and getting left on red, but others have evolved into flirting, and the two of them resulted in sexting. The most embarrassing part of all? The nudes he was sending to these women weren't even of him. I know what his body looks like, and he doesn't have chiseled abs, and he isn't that well endowed. I think he must have found a man's profile on some adult website and used those pictures, just cropping the face out. These two conversations happened in the past 6 months. I ended up texting his mom and his brother from my phone, asking them to come and pick him up from the apartment, and then I went to wake him up. I told him that I knew about the girls he was messaging on Instagram, that he needed to pack a bag and get the hell out before I started throwing his stuff onto the street and causing a scene. He started crying and begging me not to kick him out and swore that they were just messages and that he would never actually cheat on me. But I don't believe him for a second. Then he had the nerve to tell me that he didn't want me to tell anyone else about what he'd done, but I had left the room and started ignoring him by that point. He left with his mom and brother and is staying there from what I know. I've blocked him on everything for the time being until I'm ready to tell him that I'm seeking annulment. Thankfully, where I'm from, you can get one almost no question asked as long as you haven't been married for longer than 30 days. And I've already looked into the process. I haven't really left my apartment at all this week, and I've been calling in sick to work because I don't feel like I can face people. I'm just so embarrassed that I've wasted over 2 years on this man, and that I married him in the first place. I don't feel like I can even talk to the people about this, so posting this here has kind of helped. And I'd like to thank you all for your kind words, advice, and support. I might reach out to Misha when the dust has settled, but I think I'll need to build up some courage for that. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, kind of called it. Jim's an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I, I hate to demean someone, but like, Jesus Christ, what fucking scum, you know?
Right.
Like, not only trying to get up with the person you have like led on and emotionally manipulated, and then after that not working, belittling them,
Mm.
but also sending nudes, sexting, and looking at anyone else other than your wife to create some sort of sexual relationship is just so fucking gross.
Right. And immediately when he got caught, he started crying.
Yeah. The audacity to be like, don't tell anyone about this. It's like, you have no right to request anything of this person.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
you're the one who messed up. Now you have to face the consequences.
Straight up. It's like, think about
Mm.
it. Both sides have made a huge financial investment in the wedding alone. And all throughout that, he's like, oh, yeah, but like, she's not important enough not to sleep with other women, not to try to, you know? It's like, how pathetic do you need to be? How disrespectful do you need to be to treat your hopefully forever partner with like this?
Right.
It's like you kind of just don't deserve a forever partner if you're going to cheat on them, disrespect them, and I don't know, just give no consideration whatsoever towards.
Yeah, that sucks. I hope OP, gets some help, goes to therapy, starts to like realize that this isn't their fault. Go through the steps of grief of losing a relationship that she thought would last forever, and rebuilding her trust in people and finding a partner that won't break her trust.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would hate for this to set her back, but like she said it herself, like it's kind of crushing to, not only go through this, but then to realize like, oh, the last 2 years spent on this dude was just an utter waste. And that's no fault of her own, but
Mm-hmm.
that still fucking sucks. Yeah. Okay, here is the last update. This is from 4 months after the last update. It's March 15th, 2023. Hello, everyone. I just thought that I'd give an update to my situation since I still get messages of support on here every week or so. You'll be glad to hear that I was able to get the annulment and I didn't have to go through a messy divorce with Jim. I struck an agreement with him that I wouldn't tell a soul about his cheating or what happened with Misha and would leave him alone forever if he agreed to the annulment and got it over quickly. I did end up sticking to my end of the bargain, but it ended up not mattering because it turns out his brother is quite the gossip and let the cat out of the bag over Christmas after getting into an argument with Jim while drunk. A lot of Jim's family were pissed and asked for the money they contributed to his half of the wedding fund back, and some of our mutual friends have cut contact with him. A couple of our friends plastered everything on Facebook and humiliated him. It was interesting to watch the back and forth between them and Jim, honestly. I lived in our apartment and covered the rent on my own while he lived at his parents' until the lease ended back in January, and I'm now living with my dad, and I plan to stay here for a while and take things easy. In January, I tried reaching out to Misha via text asking if she'd like to meet up for coffee to talk about anything. I never got a response directly from her, but a few days later I got a call from her number and it was her boyfriend on the other end. He said they were both sorry for what happened to me and that they hope I'm doing well, but that Misha thought it was best to cease any contact as this whole ordeal has made her anxiety and mental health problems spiral, and had landed her back in therapy. I didn't ask why she never told me that Jim had messaged her that day after the wedding, and her boyfriend confessed that he advised her not to get involved, and his direct words were, I'm sorry to sound rude, but it's not her circus. I'm a little disappointed that she doesn't want to talk to me, but I get where she's coming from, and I can't force her to do anything. To be honest, I think she's looking for a way to divorce herself from our hometown and the people she and Jim knew back in high school for a while now. As for me, I'm also in therapy as I want to sort through these feelings and get back to feeling good about myself again before I even think about entering the dating scene again. I've also been firm about ending friendships with anyone who's taken Jim's side, as I don't want him finding his way into my life again. So far, he's stayed away from me and hasn't tried to contact me, although his mom reached out over Christmas to ask me if there is any chance I might forgive Jim and take him back, as in her opinion, you two are just meant to be together. I didn't respond to her, and I've blocked her on pretty much everything now, too. Thank you again for all your kind words of support. I'm certain that leaving that asshole would have been harder for me if I had not had hundreds of comments backing me up.
Good for her.
Yeah, straight up, I'm glad that she's getting help sorting through her problems with therapy. Um, Also, good for Misha for like staying the fuck out of this. Like,
Right.
I feel bad for her that she's like, that she had to spiral and go back to therapy, but like, yeah, not her
Yeah,
circus.
I'm glad she has a boyfriend that helps her with drawing boundaries that she herself doesn't feel strong enough to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that their relationship continues going strong and that Misha recovers from what seems to be the horrible high school life and life that she had in that area growing up.
Yeah. Like that is just I honestly feel the worse for her than I do anyone here. Like, don't get me wrong, the OP has gone through it. Like, their marriage was going well, and she's like, oh, it was actually never okay. And now I have to get a annulment. I almost said divorce there, but it's not quite the same thing. Um, that's just tough. But I'm glad that she's taking the steps to rebuild her life. Um, and I'm glad that she got a lot of support all throughout this because it is hard to leave a toxic relationship, but I'm glad that she found the strength to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad too. And I hope both Misha and OOP, recover from this and have a better life after it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
but that was the story. And now we're gonna go into the actual episode. Today, we are talking about jobs. Anything story related to jobs. I will go first since Henry read. You don't want to hear his voice all the time, do you?
You didn't have to say that.
I know you guys love my voice, don't you?
I do like your voice.
Thank you. You didn't listen to my podcast.
I did for a little bit, but I lead a pretty busy life.
Whatever you say.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. One of the stories I want to read is on my phone, so let me just pull it up. So, the story is from r/coworker stories, and the title is I stood up for a bullied coworker and everything changed.
I think I might have heard this one before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the premise?
Yeah. Some people are like really either they leave the coworker out of things entirely or they talk behind their back, and this person just goes out of their way to, interact with them, make sure they feel, comfortable and that they have a place here at their work environment. No?
No, that's not the story, but I'll read it for you.
Okay.
Yeah, this was posted a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah, I've not heard this then.
Yeah. So the title is I stood up for a bullied coworker and everything changed. About 3 months ago, I watched some coworkers start picking on the new guy on our team. His name is Ryan. He's quiet, socially awkward, but an incredibly talented designer. They made fun of how he dressed, how he talked, even what he brought for lunch. It hit a nerve. I've been the office punchline for years. I'm a plus size woman, and while people rarely say anything outright, the jokes, side comments, and fake concern about my health have always been there. I usually stayed quiet to keep the peace. But that day in the break room, I walked in and saw Kyle holding one of Ryan's sketches from his desk. He was laughing at it and showing it around like it was a joke. Something in me snapped. I took the paper out of his hands, looked him straight in the eye, and told him that the sketch was better than anything he had ever brought to the team. Then I said what everyone else was too afraid to say. He wasn't funny. He was just mean. The room went silent. After that, things shifted. The bullying toward Ryan stopped. So did most of the passive digs at me. About a week later, Ryan left a small note on my desk. It simply said thank you for not laughing. I still keep it in my drawer.
There you go. You got it.
Thank you.
No, I really like that story.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of power in just not letting bullying slide. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like truly, it feels so complicated until you're just like, oh, when you don't give it space, it just isn't as easy to do anymore.
Yeah, if you don't give it any room to grow, it'll have to stop there.
Yeah,
And it'll fizzle out because it's not funny.
that's true. I mean, when you're just straight up an adult about it and you're like, hey, no one's laughing, and the people who are doing it for politeness because they want to be
Right.
part of this group. You're pathetic for putting other people down to feel like you have confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
The confidence isn't anything but fake.
Yeah, just like Jesus. And I don't know. It's just like you can tell a lot by their character just by like how they treated the OOP, how they treat the person they were bullying. It's just pathetic
Yeah.
in every sense of the word.
The top comment is imagine being so insecure you mock someone's art in a professional setting. Kyle sounds like he peaked in high school. And then OP responds, you're not wrong. He really thinks he's the funniest guy in the room, but all he does is punch down. And then the commenter responds again, people like that thrive in rooms when no one challenges them. The moment someone smarter or more self aware walks in, their whole personality falls apart. Punching down is a defense mechanism for people who have nothing meaningful to offer.
That's really insightful. I like that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people forget that it's okay to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. It's told multiple times while we're growing up. Why do we forget that lesson so many times?
It's a really complex question, but I guess it's just because sometimes people find that pushing other people's down gets them validation and that feels good, and so they continue to do it. But like it's just so hollow. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how can you build yourself up on the misery of others? It's just your self-esteem is going to come crumbling down one day.
Yeah. Well, that was my short and succinct story.
Nice.
So, on to you.
All right. So this is a pretty interesting story, not because I've read it, but because of the context around it. So this is from the subreddit r/coworkers from hell. It was made 2 years ago and it has no comments, which I think is a first from what I've seen on Reddit. Um, but it's just called The Favorite. So starting now, my coworker is probably not the best worker, and she does not give a fuck. She lets it be known. When I first started my job as a patient coordinator, I was very excited. I would check in with the patients and I would work beside, let's call her Barbie. She would check out patients. She was very cool with me at first, wanted to smoke, hang out, and go to lunch with me every day. With time, I started to notice that she was passing off her work to me and stating that it was part of my duties. I would get to work at 7 a.m. and leave at 5:30 to 6 p.m., while Barbie arrived at 8 a.m. and got to leave at 4:30 p.m. or as she pleased. I felt like I was drowning in work, but she would be on her cell phone throughout the whole shift. Okay. She called in one day, and my boss noticed that she was not getting her work completed, but Barbie automatically assumed that I snitched on her. So Barbie starts giving me the silent treatment, starts leaving me out of things. When I would try to speak with her, she would start humming. This was frustrating, as we needed to communicate. We were both in charge of the schedule. She started taking it as far as trying to ruin my social life. We shared a mutual friend, and she went out of her way to spread lies to her that I was supposedly talking shit about her. Barbie and this mutual friend were friends before we were, so of course she didn't believe me. She started to leave me in the front by myself for 30 to 45 minutes at a time. The phone would be ringing off the hook, people were trying to check in and out. I would talk to my boss regarding this, and I was reassured that it would be taken care of. However, like I explained before, Barbie does not give a fuck. She calls in constantly, never arrives to work on time, smells like MJ, marijuana, and is very rude to the provider and patients. Finally, after some time, Barbie was moved to a different position in a different building, and I took her position as checkout. She does not get anything done in her new position, so we get to answer calls from upset patients because they haven't heard from our referral coordinator. Every time I try to call her, she ignores my calls. Anyway, I still need Barbie's assistance while I train the new employees to take my position, but Barbie was excited to get her new position. She would ask me on day 3 of training if the new girl was ready to be on her own. She would make snarky comments and say, I wouldn't train her like that. Anyway, one day, Barbie was assisting us. She arrived at 8 a.m., not even 30 minutes later, walked out and quit her job. I was very excited about this since she was so mean to me. I'm not lying to you when I say she walked in the next day as if nothing happened and still works here. She constantly talks shit about this work environment, but is favored by the manager. They go out to lunch all the time, smoke, and is never reprimanded for not getting her work done. The provider and office manager act as if nothing happened. My favorite part is that she would complain about how hard it is for her to keep up with the checkout position, but I but I am typing this up at work because that's how much time and boring this position is. Plus, she's older than me. Best believe I'm looking for a new job. Fuck bitches, get money is the end of that story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that doesn't have any comments. It must have been lost in the flood of Reddit stories.
it's true. I mean, it is a pretty unpopular subreddit. There's only about 1,200 like people who are in the community,
Oh.
and so it's just like I'm sure that coworker stories is probably where the bulk of people actually put their attention in.
Yeah, that's fair. Barbie sounds like an awful coworker, and the management that keeps that awful coworker there is even worse.
Yeah, I
I
mean, straight up incompetence.
I hate awful management.
Yeah, it's the most frustrating shit. It's like you are getting paid more than anyone here, and yet you are also putting in the least amount of work.
Yeah, you know,
Hmm.
the trickle down method is what they like to say, and it never works because they plug the little hole it trickles down from.
That's true. Yeah, and then when they, climb up the ladder, they pull it up.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just like it is profoundly impressive how often the most incompetent people can just like somehow face plant upwards in life, you know?
Right. It's because they complain about how difficult the job is compared to people who actually do the job
That's
and work
true.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess people who make a lot of noise are the ones who get the attention, even when they are kind of the ones who are pulling the least amount of weight.
Yeah, people who make a lot of noise are often heard.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, you heard it from us here, folks. Shirk your responsibility at every turn and do the least amount of work possible.
I wouldn't recommend that. But
No.
if you can get away with it and still move up the ladder, you must be Barbie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I don't have much more to say about that. That's
Yeah.
just an awful situation, and the only way to get out is to quit.
Genuinely. I mean, just like it truly is just a case of like you kind of just need to get the fuck out of there. I mean, I get that it pays the bills, but like it's not a place where you can build a future with, you know?
Yeah, if you can get out of there, I would recommend getting out of there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's up.
Anyways, on to another story from me is am I the asshole for telling my wife that being a stay-at-home mom to teens isn't a full-time job?
I mean, my take on that is like depends on the teens, but also if you're critiquing a stay-at-home mother, maybe you should try putting yourself in those shoes before you say anything because parenting is a fucking nightmare in the best of circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And parenting isn't just what a stay-at-home mom does. You're aware, right?
Yeah, I mean it's housework as well.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm immediately getting like chauvinist asshole from this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I don't know either because I haven't actually read the story. I just saved it from the title alone.
That's
So
all right.
let's get into this. My wife, 37F, and I, 37M, have been married for 15 years. We have two kids who are now 14 and 12. The eldest isn't mine. Both in school from 7:30 to 3 p.m. The bus picks them up from the front of our house and drops them off. Sometimes they'll have after-school activities and stay until 5 p.m., and I'll go pick them up after I get out of work on those days. They are becoming more independent now, and I had a discussion with my wife about how she could get a job. She's never had one besides being a stay-at-home mom. Now that the kids are older and I'm retiring from my 20-year military career and could stay home and be a stay-at-home dad now.
Hmm.
She doesn't enjoy cooking or cleaning, so I figured it'd be best if I step into those roles so we can eat less takeout and a more healthy diet. The kids eat breakfast and lunch at school, and when they go to school, she typically goes to the gym, yoga, then goes for coffee, browses social media, then shopping or window shopping, or goes and does her hair, nails, eyebrows, eyelashes, makeup, etc., then comes home to cook dinner. I brought it up as gently as I could, but she still called me ungrateful and accused me of not appreciating all the hard work she had done in the house. Now there's tension and she's acting cold towards me. Am I the asshole?
Oh, I mean, like the way if you're taking this story like from face value, I don't feel like the way he's gone about it is necessarily assholeish, but I also kind of don't trust this person's account of the events.
Yeah, I also don't like the fact that, oh yeah, now that you've done the majority of the work, I want to be the stay at home dad and be able to rest and relax and just do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and I still feel like this dude is wholly underestimating how much work it is to be the like the household like, caretaker basically.
Yeah, 'cause she complains and doesn't like cooking or cleaning, and yet it still gets done, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm that's tricky because it's like, oh, she doesn't enjoy these things. And I guess he also implies that it doesn't happen frequently because like they're getting takeout all the time, but from the sounds of it, she still is doing the things she doesn't like, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like I don't know. I maybe this is the bias I have, but when you have a 20-year career in the military, I don't exactly trust you to be like the most respectful of women's positions in the house. You know what I mean? Like I just don't feel like they have the what's the word? A baseline understanding of what it means to go through life as a woman, to be a household caretaker, to clean to the standard of what you have been living in for the past however many years you guys have been together in this arrangement. Um, I also feel like she probably takes on more responsibilities with the kids than he realizes. And by forcing her to get a job, they're probably going to suffer in ways that he won't even understand how to help.
Right. I understand that maybe he's like, she doesn't like cooking or cleaning. I want to do that stuff. I want to spend more times with my kids because I've been in the military for 20 years. Like, I don't want to continue working after putting my body through that. And you know what? That's completely fair. So you could have a sit down conversation with your wife and talk options out and not just be like, yeah, get a job.
Yeah,
Like,
like
I put it as gently as I could that I wanted to be a stay at home dad and I wanted her to work. It's still not giving her any other option but what you want. And I think that's where I'm finding the problem with it is that it's just, yeah, I told her what was going to happen and that was about
yeah.
it.
I'm not getting a lot of sense that they are cooperating as partners in this relationship.
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
Yeah. I can go to some comments that he posted and
I kind of want to see the
he's
like
posted a lot.
I mean, yeah, but I want to hear about the comments on that post specifically. Holy fuck! Some of these other "Am I the assholes" are.
What?
Is that him? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's him. Okay, so that's the same one.
Yeah, it's the same one. Am I the asshole for telling my wife that being a stay-at-home mom to teams isn't a
Yeah,
full-time job?
I thought he had multiple posts about
Um,
like his interactions with his wife, being like, "Am I the asshole in this situation?" It's like that's a red flag and a half.
yeah. Let me look. Oh, so not the asshole, but realistically, what type of work do you think she can get now with next to no work history? Do you have a realistic idea of what her options are? Could you frame it as exploring options together rather than choosing for her to work before she does any job search? And then OP responds, maybe she can use her bachelor degree to get a job. I don't know what kind are available for bachelors in psychology, but I'm sure there's something otherwise. Why would they offer that degree?
Huh.
Maybe I'm reading this with prejudice.
Maybe it's hard to completely divorce yourself from that. As someone with a bachelor's degree in psychology, I will say it's not the most ripe job environment, and that's partially because like half of the college graduates who go to college have a bachelor's in psychology. Like there's so much competition. You can do things like become a case manager and stuff like that, but that is a lot of work and responsibility, especially for someone who has not had a job other than like being a home taker. Sorry, a household caretaker for I don't know, about 20 years. I don't know if their timelines have matched up for how long this dude's been.
Around 15, I saw a comment from OP talking about how as soon as she found out she was pregnant, she left the field.
Okay.
And I think that makes completely sense because of what you talked about being how stressful jobs in a psychology major are.
Yeah, I mean they certainly can be. Especially the ones where like you are just like in day to day, just like I am responsible for this person's well-being and coordinating their care. Like that is a lot of responsibility, and it can be overwhelming, especially because case managers are kind of the ones who are trying to like make the whole circus run. And if you have multiple clients with that, that's just a fuck ton on your plate.
Yeah, and people are in the comments saying that'll get you nowhere.
I mean, yeah, psychology bachelor's is like, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing to have. It's also not like a doctorate. And so it's something that employers can easily write off, especially because like a lot of employers aren't impressed by a lot of college degrees anymore. Like we have this societal expectation that like that's just like, oh, you went to college, you deserve that. But like let's be honest, this isn't like, the 60s. This isn't like immediately after the GI Bill. Like times are different now.
Yeah, it's harder to find a job even with a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's another comment that goes, so as you described it, you have a stay-at-home mom that doesn't cook, clean, or transport the kids. You say you took over the cooking, but also say that she comes home to cook, so I'm not sure which it is. Basically, you don't have a partner, you have a dependent. I have someone in my house that doesn't contribute financially or domestically either. It's a dog, not the asshole. And then OP responds, no, I said I'm planning on taking over the cooking now that I'm retiring. She cooks dinner only sometimes, and sometimes it's takeout. And then a comment below that says, If being a stay at home mom to teenagers isn't a full time job, why would being a stay at home dad be full time? If you're saying you worked outside the home for 15 years of your marriage and now you'd like your wife to step up and help now that the kids are older, then you should have that conversation. If you don't have a partnership, you should determine if you want to be married to someone who doesn't want to be your partner. You can't force her to get a job. If she refuses, your choices are to get a job and resent her, or get a job and divorce her. I guess the third option is accepting her refusal and not resenting her, but I don't know if it's realistic. And okay, so now she does almost nothing to help, and the plan is that soon she'll do even less. Another comment is, so you think that you can do a stay at home parent job better, but have not actually ever done it. Wait until you hear about this thing called mental load. And then OP responds, you won't know until you try, right? I can try, and she can try working a job.
Oh, this is giving such toxicity.
I don't really like how he's talking about, yeah, I want to be a stay at home dad. And he's looking at his wife as if being a stay at home parent isn't an actual job. Like
Hmm.
all the work that she's done the past 15 years raising these kids have been nothing in his eyes because she sometimes orders takeout.
Yeah,
And she spends the money that both of them earned because being a stay at home mom is an important job. And you guys decided that you'd be a single income household. So she deserves that money as much as you do because she's doing a job
that's true.
to spend and, make herself look pretty and feel good
Hmm.
after doing 15 years of hard work raising these children while you were working outside, earning money.
Yeah, it. I get the sense that he doesn't really respect the work that she's done at all, and that he maybe doesn't even view it as work.
And no, he made it very clear that he doesn't view it as work.
Yeah, it's like, how do I put this? It's like he's like Barbie from the earlier story where he's like, this job is so fucking easy, but I am so confident the second he actually starts doing it, he's either going to complain or half-ass the job itself.
Yeah, and another comment says, she has been working a job, OP. She's kept two human beings alive and managed your life so that you could just focus on work. Your relationship is doomed, but not for the reasons you think. You reek of resentment, and it's extremely difficult to come back from that. You keep count of how often she cooks. Keeping score in a marriage is another harbinger of disaster. I bet if she does as you wish and starts working at a video store, you will still say she isn't doing enough. She didn't find a good enough job. She didn't find a good enough job. She wants to spend her money on things I don't like. She left our kid stranded at football practice when I couldn't pick him up because she didn't answer the phone at work. You don't like your wife, dude. And then they say, well, I think my lucky stars didn't marry a man with your attitude. So I think OOP responded somewhere, but it got deleted or something. And then one of the other comments is, it's very telling how he hasn't even praised her or given her any credit for what she has done. Just put her down. Not one single comment. He's 100% allowed to have a conversation about all of this to her and ask her about going back to work, especially if he's burnt out and wants a break. But he just doesn't even sound like he likes her, which is so incredibly sad. Yeah, so I would say you are the asshole. It feels like the reasons you're putting, you know, if you want to be a stay at home dad for a while and take a break, that's reasonable. But the fact that it feels as though he's putting down all the work that she has done in the past 15 years raising these kids and just saying, it's so easy, I can do it. Now get a job. And who do you think you are?
Yeah, like there's such entitlement and also just like disrespect for his wife. Like I use this saying a lot, especially with my work, but it seems like he's finding more problems than solutions. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And like his solutions are half thought out. They're just like, what's the quickest way to get what I want? And it's not about actually finding what would work in the situation, just what would work for him, which are two
yeah.
different things.
Sorry, I got a little heated, but I do think that he is the asshole, and it doesn't feel like he's having an actual conversation with his wife, but rather telling her what she needs to do for him.
Yeah.
And that's not how relationships work. So,
Hmm.
moving on to another story because I haven't even gotten to my second one. Yeah, so we're we're gonna move on to the next story. We're gonna do two more and then we're gonna call it an episode. Henry's going to read one, and then I'm going to read one, and that's where we're going to end.
Alrighty, this is a pretty short story from r/slash coworker stories. The title is My Coworker Keeps Joking That I'm His Work Wife, and It's Starting to Get Weird. So, I, 28F, work in a smallish office, and there's this guy, maybe mid 30s, who started about 6 months ago. At first, he seemed nice, friendly, chatty, harmless. Then, he started calling me his work wife during casual convos with other coworkers. The first time I kind of laughed it off, assuming that he was just being goofy or trying to fit in, but it's become a regular thing. Like, anytime we're in a group and I offer to grab coffee or bring him something from the kitchen, he'll make a comment like, see, she takes care of me like a real wife.
Ooh.
Or, yeah. Or, that's why she's my work wife.
Ooh.
Yeah, icky stuff. At first, people would laugh awkwardly, but now it's just crickets. Even our boss gave him a weird look the last time he said it. I've tried to subtly distance myself, stopped doing small favors, kept things super professional, but he still keeps dropping those comments, and it's starting to make me uncomfortable. I don't want to cause drama, but I also don't think it's okay anymore. Has anyone else dealt with something like this? How do you shut this kind of thing down without making it a whole HR situation? Unless it needs to go that route.
It needs to go to HR.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting a lot on your shoulders by saying, like, how do I solve this situation without going to the organization in my work that is specifically there to prevent and resolve situations like this. It's definitely some sort of creepy abuse of power, and you just shouldn't have to put up with this.
One comment says, generally, I think the first step would be to bring it up to him directly. I know it's uncomfortable, but unless you feel you're in danger / fearing professional retaliation, it's the most professional way for all parties involved. Hey, can we chat for a minute? I know you don't mean anything by these work wife comments, but they're actually making me a little uncomfortable. Think you could stop? Appreciate it. And then you can document or record the conversation for your protection. Loop in HR if it escalates or he doesn't stop. And another comment says, very good, but I wouldn't hedge or ask, this is uncomfortable, please stop. It is not a negotiation, and you are asking nicely. Yeah. So, yeah, your first step probably, if you feel comfortable enough and safe enough, is to bring it up to the person who's making you uncomfortable. And if they don't stop, bring it directly to HR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an opportunity for both of you to grow and like for you to state boundaries and make it clear like this isn't acceptable, and for him to learn a whole fuck ton of shit. But I mean, if you don't feel safe, you don't owe it to him to give him that opportunity to grow, because quite honestly, you got to look out for yourself first.
Yeah, and it sucks. It feels so gross. The fact that I even have to bring up this in a conversation with this guy that, hey, could you please stop referring to me as your partner or your spouse? Because I'm not, and it makes me uncomfortable. Why don't you just not do something that's not professional in your work job?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do something so unprofessional in your work? I don't understand. It's so icky to me because it feels like this is a common scenario for most women in the workforce. And I know
Yeah.
some guys have experience being called work hubbies when they don't feel comfortable either, but the vast majority,
Yeah.
you know? And it sucks that it's always like that. But that was the short story from Henry, and now I'm gonna read one more story. There is only one more story.
All right.
Its coworker leaves her panties in the bathroom and our boss finds them.
Huh.
Yeah, from r/ coworker
I
stories.
really hope it's an accident.
Yeah, hope so too. I haven't read this story.
Hmm.
Recently found this subreddit and it's absolute gold. I have a treasure trove of coworker stories, but today I'll just share one of my favorites. Working in a small office setting of 5 people, coworker 30F is very messy. Lots of dating around and sharing openly about it. She confesses that she has recently started an affair with a man she has known for a long time. It's her high school boyfriend's father, her
No.
father's former best friend. She lost her virginity to the son and vice versa. He is 50 and married for 20 plus years. There is one very slow day at the office, and it's just me and her. In parentheses, people sick, working at other locations, etc. Close parentheses. She says she's going to go out with him on her lunch break so that they can fuck in his car at public fishing pull-off. She proceeds to leave him in the middle of the day for 2+ hours. I minded my business and didn't snitch. The next morning, our boss comes in early and finds her underwear in the staff bathroom. She had changed it pre-lunch date and forgot to bring it with her. She made up a decent excuse and the boss laughed it off. Fast forward a year later, they're married, and I officiated the wedding because their officiant dropped out last minute when he found out the groom was not yet legally divorced from his wife.
No way.
Always fun to have a messy coworker in the office to keep things interesting.
Messy is the
That's
right word.
awful.
Yeah, what? Like, just. There was a point in that story where my jaw dropped and it just did not raise. Like,
That's crazy.
what the hell?
So I guess she started messing around with her dad's ex-best friend
And also
and
her
her,
high school boyfriend's dad,
yeah,
who's been married,
yeah,
is 50.
is still married, and they
Yeah.
got, in quotations, married. And this coworker was the officiant, the fake officiant, because he's not ordained, but they couldn't
Yeah,
actually get legally married to begin with.
that's true. I mean, like, people live interesting lives, and you gotta give them credit for that, but, like, genuinely, where is that relationship going?
Yeah, that's crazy. The first top comment is, how the freak did you marry them if one of them was already married? And then OP says, wasn't legal. I'm not ordained, lol. They made the marriage legal later on after the divorce was finalized. Yeah,
Damn.
yeah.
Damn, what do you say? What do you say about any of that?
Yeah, no, that's awful. That's messed up. I'm glad that this was a lighthearted story because it actually doesn't directly involve the people who suffered from this.
That's true.
Yeah, we can make light of a story when it is just that, a light story from someone else's perspective.
Yeah, there's somebody's real ex-girlfriend did homewreck their mother's relationship
Oh
with their
my
dad,
gosh.
and that's tough for them. But
Yeah.
also, I'm not going to think about that anymore because I don't need to, and it's going to make me sad.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not reading from the mom's perspective. That would have sucked. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's awful. I don't condone cheating, and this is really messed up, but I'm glad we ended on a high note.
Yeah. Cheating is fucked up, but it's also not your monkeys, not your circus.
Yeah, since we're not directly dealing with the chaos that this brought, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it ended pretty good. Thank you for listening to episode 2 of Job Problems, Problem Jobs. And I hope that you tune in for episode 3. Episode 3 is going to be over engagement, marriage, around that, just relationship type stories. We decided that because we're going on vacation next week, so we have to make the episode in advance and we can't take a poll. But yeah, I hope that you like this episode. Tell us your thoughts, and yeah, see you next week.
See you.
Bye bye.
Ta ta.